jump around it. Okay. It's expected for the orange belt that you're able to demonstrate jump arounds against most of the attacks that we've done fairly well. There's probably going to be, at this point in your training, a few rough spots, but you should be able to avoid a large majority of throws with jump arounds as long as you're working with your partner specifically for training in jump arounds. Because you keep in mind that a good throw, a solidly set throw, is going to be very hard to jump around, but there's always going to be that little error in the throw that you can take advantage of to avoid it. Moving to orange belt hold down technique. Again, hold down techniques are osaikomi waza. Osaikomi means hold down, waza is technique. And the technique we'll be learning is kami shio gatami, or upper four corners hold. For this technique, I want to underhook both his arms, pin my elbows in tightly to his body, and grab the belt. It's also called smother hold because if he doesn't turn his head to one side or the other, he won't be able to breathe. My stomach will be right on his face. So in practice, turn to one side. Underhooking, pinning the elbows in, keeping a wide base. Now the chest-to-chest contact is by pulling in and pushing your chest down. Again, try to concentrate your weight down upon him. Lock his head to the mat with your stomach and apply that chest contact, driving in with the feet. Note my feet, they're pushing in. I'm not ever on the backs of them. I'm pushing in constantly. Very simple hold down to do, but a hard one to master. Okay, the common mistakes in this technique are too light on the head. They come up too high, maybe bend their knees like this. Leaving their elbows flared. If the elbows flare, he can pull an arm free and begin his counterattack. Okay, and other things are getting rocked to one side and allowing your hips to come up. The hips have to stay locked down into the ground as far as possible. Hands have to be clenched tightly in against the body. The back arched. You can have your head up and you can see what's going on. Okay, it also adds to the arch and to the pressure on the hold down. Again, this is kami shio gatami, or smothering hold. Now the escape techniques required for orange belt are leg entangling, bridge and roll escape from kami shio gatami, and uphill turn with a leg. Okay, first we want to demonstrate leg entangling technique against kesugatami. Like kesugatami. All right, if I see that his trail leg is up enough to where I can hook it with my far foot, I'm going to snap in on him, try to capture the leg. All right, once I've captured the leg, I will scissors it and draw it out. This stretches him out to where I can roll him over and counterattack with my own hold. Once again, if there's a window of opportunity here, if he's kept a body gap here, recall that the best time to escape is before he's secured his hold. Snap in tight. Scissors the leg. And now we have uphill turn from leg entanglement. The side hold. What I will do, similar to bridge and roll, is get control of his hip by the belt grip. But now what I'm going to do is create a body gap and turn my leg in to where it scissors. All right? And again, you can roll them far side, okay, and you can use the scissors to bring him down to your stomach, to where the leg can come over and you can escape or apply Senkaku Jime choke, which we'll cover in a later tape. The final escape in the orange belt requirements is bridge and roll escape from Kamishio Gatami. However, this would more precisely be called bridge and rock, because seldom is it done in one roll. As he applies Kamishio, I'm going to try to get my hands under control of his shoulders as much as I can. If I can get here, that's where I go. Bridge up, roll. Okay, now you'll notice what I've got is a total reversal. Okay, so he'll try to do the same thing to me. Bridge up and roll. Okay, push in the shoulder, bridge up and roll. Okay, that's the final Osaikomi Waza technique for the orange belt requirements. Okuriyuri Jime is the first choke in the orange belt requirements. What I want to do is kneel behind him and use the leg as a prop to where he has a hard time leaning backwards. I can feed in the lapel by reaching under the armpit and feed it in to the cross hand. Notice there's a specific area I'm going at with this choke. I'm using this part of my hand against the carotid artery. So you have to pull up tightly and get that. Once you've fed that in, now you reach across and grab the far lapel. And this is called sliding lapel choke. And here's why. You pull down with this lapel as you pull in and across with the choking hand. It applies immediate pressure to the carotid artery. Okay? Once again, feet in tight and choke. And once again. Notice I'm kind of drawing him up and drawing him back, stretching him out as I choke. The next choke is Kataha Jime, single wing choke. Very similar in the initial setup, except from here, now I'm going to shoot this hand up into the sky, try to get my elbow bent and just bring it in tight to my body, and then I take the flat of my hand, cup it behind his neck. Okay, the effect is very powerful against the side of the neck. So, again, to recap, sliding lapel, Kataha Jime. The defense against the two chokes we've just covered is called the arm climb defense. As that applies a Okuriyuri Jime, sliding lapel choke, I have to determine quickly which arm is the choking arm, which arm is applying the actual pressure to the carotid artery. And what I do is overhand climb it all the way up, until I can get to the top of the gi. Try to apply the choke. Notice I'm turning my chin in towards his elbow too. He can't get to the carotid now. I've got his arm so far forward that his forearm can't make the contact to make the choke. Indeed, from this position on the mat, I could just continue this right into a takedown. All right? There's a lot of moves from there. Let's see that once again. Against the sliding lapel. Quickly. Remember, your best time to move on an escape is before he secured his technique. Right from there. At this point, just with one hand, I've nullified the choke. But you have to climb and not give up until you get all the way up to his collar. Okay? All right. Kata hajime. Single wing choke. This one you have to be even quicker because he's going to try to take this arm out of commission. Once that arm's there, it's too late to try the arm climb resistance. Once you feel this arm come across, you might not even see it. Once you feel it coming across, sense it's there, reach for it. It's important to remember that once a choke is applied, you only have seconds to fight. If it's successful, you can be choked in as little as 2 or 3 seconds. Unconscious. What will happen is you'll hear a buzzing in your ears and the lights will go dim, and you better hope that the guy that was choking you is your friend. So choking defenses are serious business against a serious attack. Kansetsu waza, or joint locking technique, is the next stage for technical requirements for orange belt. The first technique we're going to be doing is called wakigatami, or armpit lock. In our club, we call it overhook straightener. What we want to do is to take the arm, straighten it out, and apply pressure to the tendons just ahead of the tricep, rather than strictly to the elbow joint. If you apply pressure to the elbow joint, he can still curl in and fight the lock. When you apply pressure to the tendons, it's much more painful for him, and the muscles actually contract to help the arm lock. Also important to remember too is in all arm straighteners, you want to go in the direction of the little finger. In other words, if his little finger was down, I'd want to go down to bring the arm to a locked position. In this situation, what we want to do is to turn the hand. The way we do this is to take an inverted grip on his wrist. An inverted grip is thumb and forefinger towards his hand. A normal grip would be thumb and forefinger towards the elbow. So as he reaches for my gi, I trap his wrist, keep it locked tight so that as I pivot, his little finger turns to the sky. Now what I do is I keep my armpit draped over these tendons and lower him down to the mat. Okay? And once again, wakigatami. And the final. The next technique is kotegaeshi, or minor wrist lock. There's 4 basic ways to lock a wrist. Inside up, inside down, outside up, and outside down. Kotegaeshi locks the wrist inside up. And the way we take this technique is as a person reaches, overhand grab, put the thumb right along the middle of his hand. Notice how the fingers capture the palm. At this point, I'll double my strength by adding the second hand, reinforcing it, driving it down to the mat. Okay, again, he reaches, and down. And this works quite well with the Wakigatami armbar, in that as you apply Wakigatami, if you feel strong resistance, apply Kotegaeshi. As you apply Wakigatami, if you feel strong resistance, apply Kotegaeshi. Conversely, if you try to apply Kotegaeshi and he's resisting hard by straightening out, apply your Wakigatami and bring it to the mat. Incidentally, both of these arm bars are excellent defenses against a knife or a club. Striking technique, Atemiwaza, is the next stage for orange belt requirements. The strike we'll be learning is open palm strike. The hand is almost 90 degrees turned up from the wrist. The striking surface is the palm of the hand. Notice how the thumb and the fingers are curled in tight. It's a straight strike, and it can also be a hooking strike. But you want to think of it almost like a fist, because it's going to be a bludgeon instrument. It's going to be able to take a lot of abuse, a lot more than a finger jab would. Finger jabs will be covered in later tapes. And the applications for this are many. By this point, as an orange belt, you'll want to know 6 targets. 3 primary targets, the eyes, the windpipe, and the groin, and 3 secondary targets, the jaw, the solar plexus, and the knees. Okay? The palm strike can be used to the groin, solar plexus, windpipe, jaw, and to the nose very effectively. So, and it can also be used as a hooking technique with a driving action rather than a snapping. Okay, one of the ways we like to use an open palm as a distraction would be if we were to apply Osotogari. We could push his head away, apply the reap. Another open palm strike with Osotogari would be to actually push the chin up and drive through. Again, ideally, strikes in judo should be used as distractions so you can enter into trapping, grappling, and throwing techniques. The objective in judo, and the reason it's called the gentle way, is that we want to try to control our opponent while hurting them as little as possible in a self-defense situation. So this strike here is fine, but if a solar plexus strike will work and do less damage, go that route. You have to be the judge in a self-defense situation. But I want you to remember that judo is based on mutual benefit and welfare. If you keep that in mind, your strikes will be done with the proper judgment. The next technique is uppercut. Uppercut is effective against the solar plexus and the jaw, as well as if you're in groundwork to the groin. An uppercut can be thrown with the lead hand or with the guard hand. Again, it's a curling strike where you're driving the force of your legs into the strike. Notice that using the guard hand, you add body torque into it as well. So, our last technique in the technical requirement for orange belt is the down block. You'll recall in the yellow belt test that the up block was useful for defending against hooking strikes to the head and to the upper ribs. To the short ribs and the abdomen, a down block will pivot down from the elbow. Note in all your blocking techniques, you want to try to keep your elbow close to the body and not reach out for them. An example of a down block from a hooking punch to the abdomen, again. Okay, as I'm blocking, you can see I can enter into a grappling or throwing technique. And here's a way to use the down block as the first technique in a counteroffensive. Block, grab the sleeve, strike to the head with the open palm strike, shoulder throw, kick to the short ribs or to the head. Once again. And another example of a combination off the down block, just to get you thinking of possible variations, is blocking again. Now I'm going to, again, deflect with a strike, come in, throw with ogoshi. Blocking, again. Now I'm going to, again, deflect with a strike, come in, throw with ogoshi. The down block was the final technical requirement for orange belt. On our next tape, green belt requirements, we'll be covering the third kyo of the Gokyo no Waza and plenty of competition and self-defense moves. Congratulations, and we'll see you then.